Let me tell you something that'll set you free if you really hear it. Being unbothered is not about being passive. It's about being powerful. Most people think peace is something that happens to them. No. Peace is something you build through discipline, through perspective, and through spiritual maturity. You don't stumble into peace. You don't luck your way into emotional control. You train for it. Just like a boxer trains to not flinch when the punch comes, you've got to train your soul to stand tall when life throws jabs. You've got to train your spirit to stay calm when the world starts shaking, because life isn't going to stop throwing distractions, delays, and disrespect your way. But you don't have to let it in. Most people are living life as emotional puppets. Any little offense, any opinion, any bad news, and they're done for the day. That's not strength. That's slavery. And the chain isn't on their body, it's on their attention. But when you realize your reaction is your responsibility, you take your power back. Hear me. Reactions are not reflexes, they're choices. You can choose to rise above, you can choose to breathe, to pause, to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with weakness. See, when your purpose is clear, the noise becomes irrelevant. When your calling is loud, the criticism becomes soft. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to accept every emotion that knocks at your door. Some things you got to let pass like clouds in the sky. Just because it shows up in your mind doesn't mean you need to give it a seat at your table. You've got to get to the place where you're emotionally immune, not because you're indifferent, but because you're focused. There is a difference between caring and carrying. You can care about people without carrying their dysfunction. You can love deeply and still have boundaries fiercely. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not respond, not because you're afraid, but because you're Detachment is a discipline. It's not running away from the world, it's rising above it. It's seeing the storm but choosing not to live in it. It's hearing the noise but staying tuned in to the higher frequency. That's what maturity looks like. That's what real power feels like. And you don't get there overnight. You train for it day in and day out. Every day you've got to do mental reps. You don't build a strong body by accident, and you won't build a strong mind by chance. You must practice stillness. You must train patience. You must lift the weight of restraint. You've got to rehearse peace until it becomes your default, not your emergency plan. And above all, you've got to guard your inner world like a fortress. Everybody doesn't get access. Every thought doesn't deserve your focus. Every opinion doesn't need your energy. You must be the gatekeeper of your spirit. What you allow in will shape what comes out. And if you want peace on the outside, you've got to win the battle on the inside first. Don't train to be liked. Don't train to be safe. Train to be unbothered, unshaken, unmoved. Because when you master your response, you master your reality. And that, my friend, is how you win. Emotions are powerful, but they were never meant to be in charge. They are tools, not rulers. They're messengers, not masters. The problem is too many people have let their emotions climb up on the throne and start calling the shots. They let anger dictate their decisions. They let fear block their progress. They let insecurity stop them from showing up fully. But when you understand that emotions are there to inform you, not control you, you take back the power. See, emotions can be indicators, but they should never be steering wheels. It's like a check engine light in your car. It tells you something's going on, but you don't throw the whole car away. You investigate, you assess, you respond with clarity, not panic. That's how you treat emotions. You acknowledge them, but you don't surrender to them. And just like a servant, your emotions need to be trained. They don't show up obedient. They show up raw. That's why you've got to put them under discipline. You don't get to flip out every time something feels unfair. You don't get to quit every time it gets hard. You don't get to explode just because you're frustrated. Why? Because you're bigger than that. You've got a mission. You've got a vision. And emotions, when left unchecked, will sabotage both. You've got to lead your emotions the way a general leads troops, with order, with purpose, and with clarity. Your emotions work best when they're following your values, not leading your life. If love shows up, let it serve your purpose. If pain shows up, let it teach, not trap you. If anger rises, let it reveal what matters, then channel it into something constructive. But never, ever let them drive. When you put emotions in their proper place, you begin to operate with a different kind of power. You become steady in chaos. You become clear under pressure. You become dangerous to distraction. Because now you're not reacting emotionally, you're responding strategically. So don't kill your emotions. Command them. Don't suppress them. Train them. And above all, don't follow them. Lead them. Because when your emotions serve your mission instead of sabotaging it, that's when you walk in real authority. Every time something happens in your life, you have a decision to make, not about what happened, but about how you'll respond to it. That's where your power lives. Your reaction is not automatic, it's a choice. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a master of your own state. See, we've been trained by culture to believe that we have no control over our emotional reactions. Somebody disrespects you and you snap. Somebody betrays you and you shut down. Somebody criticizes you and you spiral. That's not strength, that's programming. And programming can be rewritten. You have to understand this truth deep in your spirit. No one has the power to make you react. They can trigger you, they can test you, but your response belongs to you. The moment you realize that, you stop handing out emotional access like candy. You stop letting people pull you into petty drama. You stop letting small minds rob you of big peace. Reflexes belong to the body, but reactions belong to the mind. And if your mind is not renewed, your reactions will always be rooted in survival, not strategy. You'll respond from pain instead of purpose. But when you renew your mind daily, when you align your thoughts with truth, discipline, and vision, your reactions shift. You stop reacting like a victim and start responding like a leader. That pause between stimulus and response, that's your power, that's your freedom. In that space, you decide who you want to be, how you want to live, and what kind of energy you're going to carry into the world. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. You can feel the heat and still choose peace. You can feel the offense and still choose grace. You can feel the fear and still move forward. Training yourself to respond instead of react is not weakness, it's mastery. It means you no longer allow people, problems, or pain to dictate your direction. You rise above the moment. You lead yourself first. And that's what separates champions from the crowd. So the next time life presses your buttons, remember, you still control the switch. Reactions are not reflexes. They're decisions. And the more power you claim over your response, the more power you gain over your reality. Peace doesn't come from silence. It doesn't come from isolation. It doesn't even come from everything going right. Real peace, deep, unshakable, untouchable peace, comes from purpose. When you know why you're here, what you're building, and who you're becoming, you stop being rattled by what's happening around you. Chaos may be all around, but clarity inside keeps you grounded. Most people are chasing peace like it's a destination, trying to find it in vacations, relationships, money, or comfort. But the problem is if your peace comes from outside of you, then anything outside of you can take it away. True peace isn't found, it's forged. It's the byproduct of living on purpose. When your life is aligned with your assignment, peace becomes the atmosphere you carry, not the condition you wait for. Purpose simplifies your life. It filters your focus. You stop chasing everything because you're committed to one thing. That clarity eliminates anxiety. It shuts the door on distraction. When you know where you're going, you're not shaken by detours. You're not disturbed by noise. You're not paralyzed by what people say or don't say. Why? Because you've got a vision that anchors you. and that vision gives you peace. Purpose gives pain a place. It turns setbacks into lessons. It makes suffering meaningful. See, without purpose, pain feels like punishment. But with purpose, pain feels like preparation. And that shift brings peace. You're no longer asking, why is this happening to me? You start declaring, this is happening for me. That mindset, that posture, that's what allows you to be calm in storms other people drown in. Peace isn't passive. It's not soft. It's not lazy. Peace is aggressive. It's rooted in knowing I'm doing what I was born to do. I'm walking in my assignment. I don't need to explain it. I don't need to prove it. I just need to move in it. That type of internal authority quiets every external distraction. Because now you're not living for approval, you're living from calling. The world will always try to pull you in 1,000 directions. But when you're purpose-driven, peace becomes your default setting. You can't be easily moved because your mission matters too much. You can't be easily bothered because you know what's really at stake. And when your life is anchored to something eternal, temporary problems lose their power. So if you want peace, don't chase calm, chase purpose. Build your life on vision, on values, on divine assignment. Because once you know what you're here for, you'll never again be confused by what shows up against you. And that's when you'll stop chasing peace and start carrying it. Detachment is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. People think if you're detached, you don't care. They assume you're cold, distant, or emotionally shut off. But that's not detachment, that's disconnection. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you stop allowing your identity, your peace, and your power to be tied to outcomes, people, or circumstances you can't control. Detachment is clarity. It's the ability to engage fully without becoming entangled, to love without losing yourself, to give without being drained, to serve without being enslaved. That's power. Because when you're detached in the right way, you no longer operate from desperation, you operate from purpose. You stop needing validation from people who don't understand your value. You stop chasing outcomes that aren't aligned with your calling. You stop being controlled by circumstances because your inner world isn't dictated by your outer one. That's not apathy. That's sovereignty. That's emotional maturity. Detachment is the freedom to act with intention instead of reacting with emotion. It's stepping into situations fully aware, fully awake, but not weighed down by trying to force, fix, or fabricate anything. It's saying, I'm going to give my best, but I don't need to grip this with fear. I'm not owned by the result. And that posture allows you to stay peaceful in the process. When you detach from needing to control everything, you make room for faith. You make space for wisdom. You stop trying to play God in your own life, and you start trusting the process. That's when your decisions become sharper. Your relationships become healthier. Your energy becomes focused. Why? Because you're no longer pouring yourself into things that were never yours to carry. People who misunderstand detachment will call you cold. They'll say you've changed. And they're right, you have changed. You've stopped leaking energy on things beneath your purpose. You stopped allowing emotional chaos to interrupt divine order. You've stopped babysitting drama and started building destiny. This kind of detachment doesn't create distance. It creates depth. It allows you to go deeper in purpose because you're no longer scattered. You're no longer tossed by every emotion, every opinion, every fear. You're anchored. So no, detachment isn't apathy. Apathy is numbness. Detachment is awareness. Apathy is indifference. Detachment is intentionality. Apathy drains life. Detachment protects it. And when you learn how to practice that kind of detachment, you don't lose love, you gain clarity. You don't lose passion, you gain precision. Because real power is not in trying to control everything. It's in mastering what you do control. Your focus, your attitude, your energy, and your direction. Everything else you learn to release. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. That's detachment. That's power. Mental discipline isn't something you get from reading a quote or watching a motivational video. It's not a switch you flip. It's a muscle you build. Just like your body needs resistance to grow, your mind needs repetition to become sharp, stable, and unshakable. You've got to train daily in mental reps because strength of mind is forged in the fire of consistency. Most people want peace, but they don't practice peace. They want focus, but they don't train their attention. They want confidence, but they never train their thoughts. You don't rise to the level of your potential, you fall to the level of your preparation. So every day, you got to show up to the mental gym and put in the work. That means practicing how you respond to pressure before the pressure hits. That means rehearsing gratitude even when your emotions don't feel like cooperating. That means disciplining your focus in a world designed to steal it. Your mind will do what you train it to do. If you train it to panic, it will panic. If you train it to pause, reflect, and choose wisely, it will do that too. Mental reps look like silence in the morning before the noise hits. Mental reps look like meditation, prayer, journaling, declaring truth over your life when the facts look discouraging. Mental reps look like taking every negative thought captive, refusing to let fear or doubt live rent-free in your head. Mental reps are the behind-the-scenes work that no one applauds, but they produce the kind of mindset that wins battles before they even begin. You've got to train your mind to hold peace under pressure. You've got to train your mind to recognize the lie and replace it with truth. You've got to train your mind to stay fixed on the vision, even when everything around you is screaming failure. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens through repetition. The difference between someone who breaks and someone who bends is preparation. One person trained for the storm, the other just hoped it wouldn't come. And life doesn't give you what you hope for, it gives you what you're ready for. So get ready. Train daily. Train your mind to speak life even when you feel drained. Train your thoughts to align with your goals, not your feelings. Train yourself to think with clarity when others are confused. That kind of discipline doesn't make you rigid, it makes you resilient. When you live with that kind of mental strength, you're no longer a slave to mood swings, bad days, or unexpected hits. You've trained, you've prepared, you've strengthened the muscle that holds your future, your mindset. And when your mind is strong, your life will follow. So don't just train your body, train your mind every single day, because how you think determines how you live. You are the gatekeeper of your inner world, and what you allow in will eventually shape what comes out. Most people treat their mind like a hallway wide open with thoughts, opinions, fear, doubt, and distractions walking in and out without restriction. But if you're serious about peace, purpose, and power, you can't afford to live like that. You've got to guard your inner world like a fortress. Your mind is sacred territory. Your thoughts are the architects of your future. Every idea, every belief, every word you absorb is a seed. And if you're not watching the gate, you'll wake up surrounded by weeds, wondering why your life feels so chaotic. It's because you've allowed the wrong voices, the wrong energy, the wrong information to take root in the most valuable real estate you own, your mindset. A fortress has walls, but not to isolate. It has them to protect what matters. Guarding your inner world doesn't mean you shut out love or truth. It means you shut out anything that tries to diminish your worth, confuse your mission, or poison your peace. Every conversation isn't worth your energy. Every opinion doesn't need your attention. Every invitation isn't meant to be accepted. Some things you've got to block, not out of fear, but out of focus. And let me tell you something powerful. Not everyone deserves access to your mental space. If someone wouldn't be allowed to live in your home, why would you let them live in your head? If their presence pollutes your peace, interrupts your clarity or stirs up confusion, it's not arrogance to distance yourself, it's wisdom. You've got to be intentional about what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, who you follow. These are all feeding your inner world, and you better believe whatever you feed long enough will grow. You can't expect to harvest peace from a mind fed with drama. You can't expect to reap confidence from a mindset constantly comparing itself to others. You've got to align your inputs with your intention. Guarding your inner world also means mastering your self-talk. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one outside your walls. It's the voice inside that whispers lies about your worth, your ability, or your future. You've got to confront that voice with truth, daily, consistently, relentlessly, because the battlefield is in the mind, and if you win there, you win everywhere. To build walls where there needs to be protection and open gates only to what nourishes your growth. Don't apologize for having boundaries. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're spiritual. They say, I value what's inside too much to let just anything come in. You are responsible for your atmosphere. You are responsible for your peace. Guard it, defend it, cultivate it, because when your inner world is fortified, your outer world can't shake you. And in a world that's constantly trying to break in, peace becomes your strongest weapon. Guard it like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Everything you've heard, every principle, every mindset shift, every challenge is pointing to one truth. Your power lies in your ability to lead yourself, not just when it's easy, not just when everything is going your way, but especially when life gets loud, when emotions rise, when distractions multiply, and when pressure tries to pull you out of character. The world doesn't shape you unless you let it. You shape yourself by training your mind, mastering your emotions, and anchoring your peace in purpose. When you understand that emotions are your servants, not your masters, when you realize your reactions are choices, not reflexes, when peace becomes a product of your purpose, not your circumstances, when detachment becomes your strength, not your weakness, when you train daily in mental reps and guard your inner world like a fortress, you don't just survive, you rise, you lead, you build. You become unbothered, not because the storms stop coming, but because you've built yourself into a person the storm can't shake. This kind of strength isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's not about pretending you don't feel. It's about deciding who you are, what you believe, and how you show up no matter what. That's what it means to train yourself to be unbothered. And once you master that, life can't pull you off course. People can't push you out of peace, and pressure can't rob you of purpose. Because you're not waiting for peace, you are peace. You're not chasing control, you have discipline. You're not seeking power, you walk in it. So show up every day, do the mental work, and carry yourself like the warrior you've been trained to be. Not easily moved, not easily shaken, and absolutely unbothered.